Welcome,
And
everyone.
Yalodocious. What's up, Gertrude? I couldn't let you get it out. Go ahead. Go,
Oh,
Gertrude. I'm
gosh.
ready.
Hello, how are you?
Hey, Gertrude, how are you?
Good, good, good. Happy Saturday. It's finally the weekend. I am definitely grateful.
Right. What a week. What did you have this week that you're grateful to escape from for a little bit? I mean, but wait a minute. You work for me. What are you talking about? Wait a minute. I'm just kidding. Well, so what are some of the highlights from your week, Gertrude?
Highlights of this week. I got to share in a group that I co-lead. So I shared on the topic of light and darkness, love and hate, and just speaking about how they interact and who we are and how we should interact with either or and things like that. So it was a great discussion. So that kind of amped me up to start clubhouse rooms and things like that. So that is my highlight of the week.
Yeah, you've been going hard on Clubhouse. I mean, you're learning all the nuances and everything. That's awesome.
Thanks to you guys, you have definitely encouraged me. You're like, you have a voice that needs to be heard.
Yeah, you got a healing voice. We got to get that voice out there. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank
I've seen you gaining your Clubhouse traction, and I commend that.
Yes, I'm going to make you a moderator so you can get your own room.
Well, like, give my
club, sorry.
Yeah. If I show up at your stuff, give me my points.
Oh, I'm bringing on stage for next week's topic, actually. So if you're available, my
I'll be there. You know, I got you.
Oh, thank you.
I'm there. Just remind me because I forget.
Okay.
my executive assistant knows that. I forget. So, tell Gertrude I'll make it there. She knows. Right? Yo. So it's been quite a week on from Mayhem.
Yes. How has things been for you? Highlights.
Yeah. Highlights. I'll tell you. I just got off a 30-day Facebook jail bid.
Oh, that's you. Oh, sorry. Yeah. You got out, so I can check. That is your post. Sorry.
That's the perfect sound for applause after I said I just got out of Facebook jail, and you gave me some like prison animal sounds where it sounded like my homies from Facebook jail were like missing me. Perfect.
Oh, we did miss you. Even though you were kind of like covert, but we did miss you.
Yeah. I sent a very good friend of mine, a young man, of was it Worston Orient from Asian descent? I want an anime energy, an animated young man. There we go. That's a good way to finish the metaphor. Izuku. So while I was on lockdown, y'all managed to run my club into the ground and get us closed. But I'm only half true because I'm pretty sure I ran our club into the ground, or the gentleman named Izuku, because I think what it looks like is that admin misbehavior can get your club shut down, whereas misbehavior I think gets members kicked out. So one of the techniques is to make sure that my burner account is not an admin. So let's not make Izuku an admin.
Okay.
Yeah. That way I won't be tanking our whole organization. With that lesson being learned, I want to thank my admins. Thank you, my moderators. Like literally, by the time I realized we were down, we were back up, and I was already getting messages. And I want to thank members who jumped in with the same energy as you jumped in. Asylum Mayhem Pandemonium. Freud. Freudian slip. Asylum Pandemonium. I want to thank everyone who, even after Pandemonium, the original Asylum got shut down, immediately jumped into Sapio Sexy Mayhem Stealth, which was our dry storage. The decision at this point is, for now, I'm going to leave both groups open, because what I feel has happened is that there's only 200 something people in the other group. And I'm gonna be honest, I'm not gonna automatically invite everyone to the other group, because when we started the initial Mayhem, we grew to 500 people in 2 days. So a lot of people were just invited to be invited, because back in May, when we launched Mayhem, Mayhem in May. That was a little
Mm.
right. In the video game world, we leave what are called Easter eggs for people to
No,
know.
I love Easter eggs, especially with Marvel movies.
Yeah.
I'm like, wait, I know that face. The guy that passed away.
Yep. Stan Lee.
That's him.
Yeah.
He's there.
Good. Yeah, as an artist, what you do often is when there's a quirky idea that you have, and I'm speaking to other artists, so y'all already know the nature of sublimation, is every once in a while you leave yourself a little silly note so that if the idea works, then later you can point back and be like, hey guys, this was one of the jokes that I put in here during the inauguration of this idea. And Mayhem launched May 6th, the original Pandemonium now. And I'm getting off track because, I got a little emotional when we got shut down in 2 ways. I was like, oh crap, we got shut down and I'm on lockdown. And and I was on lockdown and Izuku didn't have all the admin privileges, and I hadn't given admin privileges to my moderation transition team because I launched Sapiosexy in June as our backup, as our dry storage. And to get kind of center back around my original point, Sapiosexy wasn't intended for everybody. So Asylum Mayhem 2.0, I'm not inviting folks. If you don't get an invite, I'm sorry. You don't exist now.
It's currently a closed group. It's a private closed group now.
Yeah, it's even more private than the first group. So it's where right now only 200 some people out of the near 1,000 of you in this main group have been invited. Ultimately, I'm the kind of person that believes in increasing circles of disclosure, which means that I travel light. We do have our core tribe that we're super dedicated to, but even within our core tribe, some of you are putting in more effort. Some of you are helping me build live events. Some of you are helping me plan strategy. Some of us are doing business deals. So there's more to this game than memes, and I want to. I like to reward those of us, those of you among us who have picked up some of the subtle signals. With Mayhem 1.0 getting shut down, I went ahead and opened 2.0 to invite those of us who are in 1.0 who hadn't made the ascension yet, who hadn't made the leap yet. So I guess the general advice is step your shit up. If no one's missing you in the other group, it's because you're not doing anything in this main group that someone from the other group feels the need to invite you over. We don't do the invites. And even as now that you guys know about 2.0, please know that we're going to be building the stealth, the backup of the backup, because that's the way my neurotic personality is set up.
Phil says, thank you.
You're welcome.
Oh, that's me. That's for me. Okay.
Okay. Anyway, but yeah, this is a labyrinth. Okay. I make video games and virtual worlds for a living. Duh. And even as we're having these conversations, we're having fun. Ultimately, if I wasn't creating some sort of maze for you MFs, I'd be bored shitless. So this is a game. For those of you who picked up that it's a game, welcome to Asylum, Mayhem to a Stew. For those of you who haven't picked up that it's a game yet, you will when everyone else is playing somewhere else without you.
He says, thank you.
How are you going to hear from outside the club? You can't even get in. All right. So,
hey,
you say what?
No, I was just trying to see how we could merge.
Exactly. Well, we could do a non sequitur. We could absolutely do an abrupt shift in frame. That's that. I'm not going to talk about it much. What happens in Mayhem stays in Mayhem. What happens in Mayhem 2.0 stays in Mayhem 2.0. And what happens in the third group, which only those who will be there will know the name, will happen there. That's the way my personality is set up. And welcome to Asylum.
There's levels. All right. So today's topic is on growth through pain versus insight. So I'm looking forward to this topic. It seems like this is something that a lot of people can, glean from and be able to apply in their lives today, especially, with what's going on in the world.
Yep.
And things like that. So please take it away.
Let's get it. Okay. So first of all, the model I'm going to be using here is a model called the Hero's Journey. I've simplified my thought process to one of two paths. One is the amygdala-based path. We call that amygdala hijack, when it's a story that's so intense, intimidating, so scary, so possibly overwhelming that you go into one of the 4 Fs: fight, flight, freeze, faint. And these are the signs that your limbic system, you've gone limbic, you've gone to reptile brain, is what you've heard from a lot of people. What I've done over the decades is I've adopted a model of adapted, both. I've adopted and adapted. I've adopted a model from Karpman, drama triangle, which comes from Eric Burns, same school of thought as in psychiatry as Eric Burns' transactional analysis. The main point is that life is choose your own adventure. Joseph Campbell and Carl Jung talk about the idea of the hero's journey. So I teach my clients that your mind is in one of two simple templates. You either believe you're winning or you believe you are losing in any given moment. In that moment, that choice is sort of an involuntary choice. This is the power of reframing, where you can be like, oh crap, I'm in victim mode, the drama triangle: victim, villain, hero, and not the hero on the hero's journey, to reframe it. And this is when we did our show last January, we decided to clean this up. The drama triangle, when you guys are Googling it for familiar terms, it's going to be victim, persecutor, and rescuer. So this will sound a lot more like the codependency enablement triangle you guys have heard. That's one set of adventures. This is the adventure of those who choose to stay home from the hero's journey. Now, Gertrude, did you happen to get the message, the email I sent you with the picture of the hero's journey?
Oh, yes. Let me pull that up.
Yeah, I want to pull this up because there are 12 stages to the hero's journey, which is the choose your own adventure. But what I want to highlight is the fact that I put the word choose your own adventure. The hero's journey begins with choice. The choice comes from courage. The choice is to believe something other than what has scared the crap out of you: fight, flight, freeze, faint. The 4 Fs. So you choose to reframe, which means you choose to turn your brain on just a little bit and notice something in the moment of fear that has you curious. And that curiosity will expand into interest. And the interest is a representation in your mind that somehow, as scary as this situation is, it's your adventure, it's your journey. It wasn't Jung. I think it was Joseph Campbell. He wrote A Hero with a Thousand Faces. He came up with the idea of the monomyth, which is the idea that all of us walk around telling ourselves a story all day to keep our consciousness up. That story can either be an empowered story or a disempowered story. If you take on the disempowered story, then you step into the hero's journey. I'm a victim. I get resentful, and you can feel the resentfulness. I'm unheard. I'm misunderstood. And if you guys have downloaded the PDF on how to operate in flow, how to stay in that high functioning, positive emotional state, even when things are hard, that Phil, our marketing manager, has made available to you guys. If you guys have downloaded that, if you haven't, I believe, does it take an email? Oh, plug. I'm going to get your email. So I believe there's 2 ways to get it. I don't know if we've put it directly, the newest version, directly in Mayhem 1 in Pandemonium, in which case you can find it to your right. Am I pointing to the right, Gertrude?
Let's see. Which way is right? This is, I don't know how to explain it.
Right?
You are pointing towards me.
Okay, good. Yeah. So somewhere in this group, I think in mobile also, there's a files feature. If you press files, there will be some files. This is a social learning environment. Okay. Although a lot of what we're learning is around our shadow selves, our subconscious selves. When we choose our own adventure, we choose to be curious. And I just said this earlier, if you remember what I just said, choose to be curious and interested in ourselves. Now, this is curiosity. This is interest. This is not self-absorption. What we're doing is we're choosing an adventure based on what's really effing there. Well, what ego does when we're afraid is fear activates distortion. I'm sure you guys have heard me say over and over, there's a big difference between danger and fear. Danger is what's actually out there that your intuition is representing. And if you stay within danger instead of jumping into fear, then your instincts kick in and your intuition connects. Now, is there any way we could zoom in? That's tinier than I thought. I sent you a little picture.
Right. Let's see if I can make it bigger. Oh, here. Is that big? Bigger?
There we go. Booyah. Okay, let's zoom in and start at the top. Okay, so now where do we get this courage from? One of the things that's known in psychology is that as long as you're staying in your head, you ain't getting nothing done, man. You got to get some different information out there. Transformation, transcendence, self-actualization is about symbolic self-completion, which means making the outside match your insides. We feel efficacious when we walk around all day and the stuff we're ruminating about and repeating in our head, we're actually every day taking little steps to make parts of it come to reality. And that means get out of your head, stop having your thoughts hijacked by your amygdala, choose, all caps choose in our imagination. Imagine that choose that you see down there, CHOOSE, your own adventure. The choose, imagine it in all caps, underscored, glowing with highlights. All that crap. Okay. You got to choose something that interests you. That's what awakens your unconscious. Joseph Campbell says you must enter the forest where it's darkest for you. That's courage for you.
Interesting.
Because you see someone else doing something and it's courage for them and they're getting accolades. Don't do it yourself. And you're like, oh, that shit's easy. I could do that. That's not for you.
That's not the right mindset.
That's not courage. That's bravado. That's virtue signaling. That doesn't any growth. It does not get you insight.
Courage versus bravado.
Yeah. That's growth through pain because you're going to invest your energy in someone else's dream, something that looks good and is meaningful to them. You haven't checked your values. You haven't connected with your vision. Once you're connected with your vision, you're off for the hero's journey. The way the vision usually gets activated is, again, out of curiosity. You're sitting around doing whatever, blowing spit bubbles, counting nose hairs, whatever. And then something catches your attention. And you're like, what's that over there? And one of the examples that Joseph Campbell uses in A Hero with a Thousand Faces, which is a book where he's working through this idea and he's going through millennia of myths and ultimately finding that all these myths point to sort of the same flavor. They have, because unconsciously, every story that we tell is a projection of ourselves. And at the core, we are all tied to this collective unconscious, this human condition that we each are coming into our own and finding words to express it. And these words are the expression of our gift. So the first thing that happens is we notice something over there. And in A Hero with a Thousand Faces, he says, maybe you notice a sword in the water. That's some Lancelot stuff. You might notice a shine in the mountains. You might notice just whatever thing. It's just something that no one else notices but you. And it catches your attention. You're thinking about it all the time. You're like, I should have that. But everyone around you is like, no, that's crazy. Nobody ever gets that. Not in our village, in our town. So you got to leave the normal world into the unknown. Your curiosity is pulling you into there. Now, most of us can't make the trip on our own. That's not how it works. I just said that a few minutes ago, if you think back. Perfect. That was when I said it. So no one does anything on their own. The ability to ask for help. That's right. The ability to ask for help makes the difference between whether you have success or not. Those of us who are too afraid to ask for help is because when we think about what we want, we automatically go into the shame. We collapse into the drama triangle: victim, villain, hero. So when we go ask for help, we go ask for help from a persecutor, someone who craps on us for not knowing it already. And so self-defeat, we end up resentful. Or maybe if it's not a persecutor, it's a critic. And if we don't even go outside, we go to our inner critic. Huh?
So you're saying that some people ask help from a persecutor, meaning someone
can help them get there, but going to beat them up for not having already done it.
Oh, wow.
Or someone who doesn't believe you can accomplish it. And as such, they're already in their toxic frame. And you're just an opportunity for them to remind themselves that so many people can't get what they accomplished. You'll meet a lot of people who, when you ask them for help, they beat you over the head with the rules that you failed at. This is the nature of what they call evaluative feedback, feedback that craps on you, constructive, all caps criticism. All caps criticism. It's more criticism than constructive. So the perpetrator is bound by the rules and the old beliefs of the community. That's what's important.
Okay. You know what's interesting in what you're saying is that as a leader or as somebody that is asking for help or giving help, you could be on either side of the spectrum.
Yep.
And the thing about psychology or even therapy is that there comes a place where you're not pointing fingers on all the toxic people in your life, but you're realizing that there's elements of toxicity that you displayed to others that have come across you.
Yep.
Because here I'm listening to what you're saying. I'm like, oh yeah, I could think of people who did this.
Yep. And when they say, notice your right hand, point that finger again. And point towards me on the camera. No, point towards me. And when you point towards someone, 3 fingers point back at yourself.
And that literally is what happened to me in my insides. I was just like, oh yeah, I could think of somebody. And then I got another, flashback to when I was a leader, and I'm like, oh, that's what that was.
Yep.
Okay. So now what's the next step of that self-acknowledgement or even acknowledgement of I'm this is familiar. I've seen this and in some cases and environments I've probably done it.
Yep. And the nature of the drama triangle is so there's 2 folds. Let me hop on the 2 folds, and then your point is perfectly timed because it leads me right to the fact that we do this to ourselves based off memories. So the second pole is the rescuer pole, which sometimes we call it the hero. This is the person that when you're flat on your back as a victim, the world has brought you to your knees, you're face down, whichever metaphor works best for you. Mm-hmm. When you feel defeated, you turn to people who remind you of your parental figures. And there are 2 types of parental figures in the hero's journey. And at the core of being human, these are the unmet needs that sometimes we got to go on the journey for somewhere beyond home. The second person is the nurturing. The first person, the victim, the villain, the persecutor, that is sort of the rule bound, the structure in your life. So we need 2 things to survive. We need structure and we need nurturing, but we need them to the right amount. Now, the rescuer, the hero, when you go to them for help, they'll be like, oh, it's okay that you can't do it. They also don't believe in you, but part of their identity is in being the person that will take care of you for the rest of your life if you don't amount to shit, pardon my French.
Oh, no.
So in life, you need just the right amount of structure without it being tyrannical, without being beaten to death with it, or without being so nurtured and coddled that you never leave the nest. The call to adventure is when someone outside of your trusting net gets through to your trust, because we all learn, and there's a book. Where's the book? I got a stack of books here for y'all. Daring to Trust. This was one of the first books that Charlotte had me read in our when we were first dating. It was just sort of a because I have trust issues, and we both do. And the issue that we chose was, how do we know when to trust each other, and how do we know when the boundaries have been violated to no longer trust? Now, so where was I? There's other books here, but I'll get to them in a minute. So once you develop just a little bit of trust, and it's not even real trust, it's just trust because you're so damn curious that someone comes into your life like as a mentor, like, hey, I've been there. I've done the thing. I believe in the thing that you believe in. The problem with that is often we get toxic mentors who come in and pretend to believe in us, pretend to value what we value, pretend to have our vision in mind. And the ulterior motive is usually, look at this delusional person that's never really going to make it. I don't believe in them, but I'll sit around and spoon them this BS since no one else is doing it and benefit. So I want all the book titles. Who's that?
That's Phil.
Phil? Oh yeah, I'll bring them to you. I'll bring them. I got you.
You started sharing the book, but then you didn't tell us what the name was.
Daring to Trust.
Daring to Trust.
Sorry, thank you. I'm trying to go to the right when it's to the left.
And who's that by?
It is by David Richo, Richo, author of How to Be an Adult in Relationships. Wow. It's opening ourselves to real love and intimacy. And ultimately, it's a hero's journey. It's an adventure. It's things you haven't experienced or felt before. You know, I've spent most of my life over-identified as a scientist, which meant just the facts, ma'am. Give me the data. Give me this stuff. I didn't do story much until I started realizing that our unconscious mind is mainly story. So the next step is when the mentor comes into the fold. Let's grab the graphic again so we can show them we're at the top. And I'm gonna go through these a little bit fast because I actually do a whole session on these in mind remapping and manifestation, which my Dr. Maisha and I did two Januaries ago. And I've also performed about this at Nicole's show at the Writers Retreat. The Dr. Nicole, Doc Swiner, as you guys know her, she has an annual Writers Retreat that a couple of years ago I presented this as well. This is a theme that has got me through enough stuff that I've deepened it in my own mind, and I recommend it to all my clients once we get to the heal part, the grow part of Heal, Grow, Thrive. The heal model, which is the first month of my program, is focused on the drama triangle, understanding when you're in it and what that means so that you can get through the past things in your life. As you start to get through the past things in your life, you develop ego strength, the ability to take these risks, to have courage and do things that your tribe of origin, the people that raised you and gave you life, told you not to do, your church, your school, your past experiences, your younger boyfriends and girlfriends. So we meet a mentor, we choose to trust this person. Not about everything. Don't be stupid. Discretion and what's the other word? Well, decision works, but that wasn't the word I was looking for. Being discretion in your decision making, selectiveness. Okay. Because what we're looking at right now is disclosure of vulnerable aspects of you. This is stuff about you that you ain't talked to nobody since you were a kid. Because when you were at the sandbox or playing with the Legos and you brought this idea up, an adult told you that's stupid, don't say that ever again, or you're going to go to hell, or you'll be kicked out of the tribe, or you're going to not in my house. Whatever it was that you heard when this part of you tried to emerge, you stuffed it down so you could stay where you could stay. You made it part of your shadow. These are things that you only did when the shit hit the fan. You know, you like if you were taught anger was of the devil, you know, then you never allowed yourself to get angry. And any thoughts that came up when your boundaries were violated, instead of looking for what did this mean when I have this unmet need come up, instead we went to shame, and then we learned to project our shadow, to be contemptuous to anyone around us who actually shows an interest or shows a trait that we were taught was not good. Now, at the same time, until we head out on an adventure and we meet someone who comes to us with one of those traits that matches a part of our curiosity, matches something we value, but that does not match our tribal value, then we don't cross the threshold. Crossing the threshold is deciding that there is something unknown beyond your tribe, something that you are curious about, something that this moment calls you to adventure, calls you to summon up the courage so that even despite the fear, remember, fear is the distortion in your mind as a result of your amygdala firing too heavy, your amygdala getting swollen, your fear, fight, flight, freeze, faint, your 4Fs kicking in. So instead, choose to listen to the mentor, hear what the mentor has to say, see what path the mentor is offering you, what the mentor did to get across the threshold. Crossing the threshold is stepping into the new world. You land in the unknown, the new world. None of your old models matter because the people before who knew everything, who were your guides, they're not even there. This is when Dorothy landed in Oz and the colors were bright. It went from being black and white to Technicolor. You got to remember how big a deal that Technicolor was to people back in the day when we had color TVs, but there weren't color shows. Okay. So you cross the threshold into this new, more colorful world. And you have this mentor. Now, I left out one part which is significant. A lot of times before you meet the mentor, you get psychological help from others because you build yourself up. There will be signs along the way. Okay, this map doesn't show, but what's important to my model is along the way, there'll be little signs, things you'll see in your environment that awaken something within you. And then when the mentor comes, the mentor makes those signs all come together. Suddenly you're like, oh, synchronicity. That's what those things were all for. You step into this new world where your old models don't work, you're alone, and you're going to, not on this chart also, and I want you guys to know, is you're going to get enemies and allies. You're going to get people who come into your life and offer help in addition to the mentor. Because the mentor has already been on the journey. The mentor can't travel with you. The mentor points and says, this is the gift I give you. Carry it with you, this new knowledge, this piece of information that has shifted you psychologically and altered the way everything around you looks, and as such, the way everything feels inside you now. So you're going to meet these allies and you're going to go through a bunch of trials. There will be a lot of failures. The failures are to be addressed with the mentor and your allies, those on the journey with you. Okay? Among those allies, you will develop enemies. Enemies are the people who are on the journey with you, who share the same desired outcome, but do not share your values. And as such, if you continue to share these secrets, if you continue to let them in on these inside things, then the betrayal will come. You'll learn. Along the way, you'll learn who is ride or die. As you're learning these new skills, who is robbing you of resources, who is making you feel down, who is spending so much time in the drama triangle that they're beating you up to the point where energy, to sum it up, courage, is being burnt out. Now, ultimately, you're going to.
I have a question. Sorry, Dr. Manny.
No problem.
You mentioned, or you described enemies to be people who share your desired outcome, but not your same values. How does that work, or how does that even?
Ultimately, all of us want the same thing. We want a fulfilling life. At that level of abstraction, that works. Yeah, I want to be happy. You ask anyone, I want to be happy. What does happy look like? Is happy on a private island left alone by everybody? That's one of my happiest places.
Wow.
I know when people are where you're going to end up eventually, Manny, it's away from humans. I love people.
What?
A small handful of them, but I y'all know I went through a depression for 2-3 years. Y'all didn't see me for 2-3 years. I didn't tour barely. I put out writing. Y'all didn't see my face. I had like 20 alter egos pumping out content that allowed me to make a living. You know, I don't need to be out there for all of it. The message can be out there. The message is itself. The memes are themselves. The energy is itself. The human, I'm just a messenger. I don't cross a threshold with folks. Ultimately, when I go to my place, and this is part of the hero's journey, I'll tell you guys how it all works. Here's the thing. When you're a hero, when you choose to be a hero, you got to return with the bounty, because you're only a hero to those who are stuck where you were once stuck. And you're only a hero as a result of this elixir you brought back. The fact that you now know the world outside of this world, that the normal world that you guys started out together, and you speak the language of the people from the old world while having the knowledge of the new unknown world. That's what makes you a hero. A lot of people go to the new world and don't come back. I've come to this new world, this new way of thinking, these new mental models, this new circle of people, this new abundance. And at the same time, what you'll come to realize is when you realize the abundance, when you actually actualize the abundance, and by realize, I mean when you make it real for yourself, when you come to believe in the abundance and you look around and you get to the point. And Dr. Maisha says, when you're in integrity, you say horse and a horse falls out your mouth. You know, when you promise, which we discussed last week, either in this group or in Get Committed, the importance of your words matching your actions and your thoughts being aligned with your words, integrity. When you're in integrity, you're going to learn new skills. You're going to meet people who are willing to learn those skills with different values, because they're not with the skills for self-definition. They're with the skills for the outcome. A lot of times you'll meet people who earth. They will burn everything down to get their way, including the team members. They will betray people along the way. They'll, at the last minute, at the finish line, they'll cut you at the leg. They'll claim that you were dead weight the whole time, even though you were actually on a journey yourself, and you were heavy at times, but so were they. So we took.
You were heavy at times,
and so were they.
And so were they.
You were great at times, and so were they. The nature of collaboration, co-creation of reality is that we trust each other enough that we take this journey, we share these ideas, and we use these ideas to create these internal maps. So now, what's important is if you'll notice, the very bottom of the hero's journey is death, and this is ego death. So that brings us to the next part. So if you guys have watched some of my other stuff, you know that ego is a conditioned mind without awareness. We can't be aware until we have a story we can tell ourselves in the moment. If we don't have any story, the uncertainty causes us to collapse to the drama triangle. Once you collapse to the drama triangle, you're all ego. I'm a victim. I'm so angry. I'm in my feelings. Blah, blah, blah. Noise.
Okay.
Yeah, when your brain is only telling these pessimistic stories, basically you're excuse making. We didn't get it done because I was a victim, and this guy didn't give me the pencils. This guy didn't let me have the resources. This guy didn't tell me Fred was the one with the t-shirts that we were supposed to tie dye.
That's a form of ego.
Yes, this is the story. This is how you're saving face. Wow. You're saying, I no longer believe that I am going to complete this hero's journey. And as such, I'm going to begin the suffering. Instead of choosing insight, which is what you get from the hero's journey, now you're going to beat the crap out of yourself with this victim story, and you're going to give away your power in the moment by attributing the energy that you should be using to figure out how to solve the problem by deconstructing and getting more precise, projecting it instead onto someone else. We call this projective identification. When there's an emotion you feel about yourself, like shame, that feels so terrible that you flip it and you project it outside of yourself and you get contemptuous. Contempt is projected shame. Someone told me in the old village not to do this. Look at me failing. I'm on my back. This is death, ego death. I was wrong. The story I believed was not true. Now I got to remember all the things I was told before I left the village, because now that I go back to the village of failure, all the elders are going to tell me, I told you so. And some of the elders, including, the nurturing moms in the village, are going to tell me, it's okay, you didn't make it. Kind of didn't know you'd make it. You didn't believe you'd make it anyway.
A place in my house.
Yeah. You say what?
But there's always a place in my house for you.
Always in my house. I'm not going to teach you to fish because I don't know how to fish. But we always got this fish that someone who knows better, someone stronger than us, them, the other heroes, the real heroes, they always bring back fish from the trip. Meanwhile, you can stay here with mommy. You're safe here. There'll always be fish. Someone will always be brave enough to bring us some fish. Don't you worry your little head about it at all.
Do you understand how groundbreaking, I know you already understand how groundbreaking this is, but I guess the way my brain is working and just listening to you, I'm just seeing of how if people are willing or even people are open to hearing these concepts, these could change nations. These could change communities. You could run for mayor and completely change you could change Chicago with this mindset. I'm so serious.
Except I like drugs and alcohol too much.
Oh,
I can't be mayor. Because I was from the podium. Boom. God. Real talk. In the Hunger Games, what's the name of the dude that I can't remember his name that came back and helped your girl? And how he had finished the maze and he had won Hunger Games the year before, but he was burned out and all he wanted to do was drink and party. I'm that guy. So I'll come and do these shows, but the reason I'll be on that private island is it's probably going to be an island where weed is legal. Any questions? Okay, so don't worry. Ego death. Yes. Yeah, I could change a nation, but did I mention that I could do it? That's my little brother's stuff. He does politics. I don't do that.
Okay.
My brother, he's all, let's help the people. I will help the people.
Yeah, Phyllis saying Mayor St. Victor.
Yeah. Also, mayor of a private island where y'all can't find me. I think I told y'all this earlier. As you guys know, I'm prone to getting sent to Facebook jail and disappearing, and then the city collapses, and y'all need to do what I left instructions to do when I'm gone. That's the hero's journey.
But I do know because my family is in politics, so yeah. I do know that there are presidents have advisors, or people have advisors. You don't have to be the leader, but you could be an advisor.
Yep. And then
that your brain. No, I know you are a genius. Period. You are a genius, and this could change the mindset of places that are still stuck in a place of blaming everyone else, but not using that power to empower themselves to rise from that place.
And we offer executive coaching. It's just expensive as hell.
Yes, but
we ain't cheap. I mean, I do coaching. I do firms and stuff. And in theory, in these firms, we have, and some of them are in Mayhem. Mm-hmm. We are the future leaders. The reason I'm sharing these ideas with you guys is because these are the ideas that change nations. I'm not sticking around do that shit. I'll be at a party. Oh, gosh. Like that. I've done. I'm 48 years old next week. I've done my contribution to life. I spent 2 years in a fucking psych unit helping people get their sanity. I'm good. Yeah. I'm good. Y'all gonna pay me for my time. Sorry, y'all gonna pay me through the nose, and I'm gonna keep buying expensive shit for my kids. That's where I am in life. I've done the hero's journey. This is me coming back with the elixir, telling y'all I'm a guide. You see that threshold? I told y'all the mentor doesn't cross the threshold with y'all. That's because once the mentor points y'all to that threshold, I'm going back to my private island.
So mentors are not meant to come with alongside you?
I ain't coming with y'all. Wait. I did this already. What are you talking about? That's your adventure. It's the hero's journey.
I think that's healthy, actually, because the temptation is to be like, come alongside me. No, I need you every step of the way.
That's the drama triangle, literally. Think about it. The person that doesn't teach you to fish, the courage is the thing. Oh. It's the fact that you're crossing the threshold alone. Woo! Okay, hold on. Other book time. Where are we? The Writer's Journey. Mythic Structures for Writers by Christopher Vogler.
Oh, yeah. Sorry.
Okay. Now, can you guys see that? Can we foreground me so people can see the book cover? And it's got the labyrinth on it. You guys know I keep labyrinth metaphors around.
Dr. Manny, where are you?
Okay. This book, let's crack this open. This is the Writer's Journey. This is for those of you who write. Whatever piece of your story you choose to write, wherever you are, you grab this book. One of the things is refusal of the call. Refusal of the call. Let's pop that diagram back up, Gertrude. So if y'all want to dig deep, we'll dig deep. We're only supposed to go 45 minutes, so we won't go much longer. But this the good. All right. So when you see crossing the threshold, there is a call to adventure in there. The mentor shows up and tells you, hey, dude, there's an adventure for you. Not for everyone else. They say you must enter the forest where it's darkest for you. The information that you're meant to bring back to the world, your purpose, your gift doesn't await in pretending to go on these adventures for other people. You got to go on your own journey and write your own shit. Everyone does. And plug what I've done in the past. And Doc Nicole and I have been getting together, Swiner Publishing. We use the hero's journey, and just so you guys know, I don't be making this stuff up and not doing it. We used the hero's journey when we wrote Thinking About Quitting Medicine, Volume 1, with 13 physician authors, and Thinking About Quitting Medicine, Volume 2. We use the structure in there. I have the team using SOAP notes, SOAP, which is subjective, objective, assessment plan. This is the old world. This is the world the tribe of origin. We must have ideas that are ours that step outside the tribe for fear. We must have the courage to think ideas that we were not taught to think. Spontaneity is a sign of health. Spontaneity, the ability to think these ideas without collapsing into the drama triangle, without being triggered, is what eventually leads to health. And you go on this journey over and over. We call it peeling back the layers of the onion. It never ends. If you want to go into was it Eastern philosophy? I think, was it Yanif that showed this to me? No. I'm blanking on his name now. I feel so bad. Francis Yu. Yanif showed me something else. Francis Yu recommended this book to me because one of the memes I shared was about this. This is Theory of Multiple Consciousnesses. It's a thicker, denser book because it's Eastern philosophy, but when you get to the bottom of it, it's about the fact that each of us needs to go on the hero's journey. When we go on our journey and we choose the thing that matters most, it distills your consciousness because suddenly the other things become irrelevant. And then your boundaries come into play because your priorities come into play. Because there's only certain things that you have time for in this life. You can't have everything, but you can have the thing that you choose to have if you choose to pursue it with the courage, the clarity, the boldness so that you know why you're pursuing it. You stay true to your reason, you stay true to your values, and you stay focused and you stay unafraid. The fear is distorted. Fear is a distortion. Danger is real. A hero develops courage by going on the journey alone in the direction of the fear that no one else knows that you're afraid of. I don't know what the hell you're afraid of. You can pretend all day, but you'll know. And you won't change. You'll be like, why am I still in the same place a year later? Mental masturbation. You know, because you're actually rubbing off with sandpaper, for lack of a better word. This book, Theory of Multiple Consciousnesses, what you'll find is that all of our religions, the people who actually sit with the religion, sit with the ideas and apply them to their lives without using religion as a projection of ego, without spiritual bypass. Spiritual bypass is when, instead of going where you feel like you need to go the most to sound the way the people who come back sounding enlightened sound, instead you start memorizing some damn words you spot on the internet that enlightened people use, and you're using them. Meanwhile, it's all being held up by ego because you're being inauthentic. This is called toxic positivity. You know, stayed in the village, who don't know what life is outside the village, but who sit there and pretend like they're courageous, reviewing old bullshit, frustrated, living a shadow life, living a life of quiet desperation is the phrase they use. Is the life where you work hard, but you've given up. You've got this learned helplessness. You don't believe there's anything beyond there for you. We're at 46 minutes. I want to go ahead and pull up some other books. Uncommon Therapy, The Psychiatric Techniques of Milton Erickson. Milton Erickson came up with Ericksonian hypnosis, which is the hypnosis style that I practice most. I don't practice, I sometimes use Elman hypnosis and I use Krasner hypnosis, but Ericksonian is my favorite because his story was that he was paralyzed with polio for years, and he just laid there watching people because all he could move was his head. And so over the years, this guy learned to observe people very well. And that resonates with me because I spent 3 years in a depression where I couldn't even lift my head. So I got to observe people. What this book is about, Jay Haley wrote it, but it's actually talks about Erickson's work. And this book is about the hero's journey. It's about the fact that we go through these steps, each of us. And whether we decide to stay believing in ourselves, which means at each gap, instead of falling to the drama triangle, instead we're like, oh, I am flat on my back. I am knocked unconscious. I am abandoned. I've been betrayed. I have loved the wrong person. I have chosen the wrong career. I have moved to the wrong city. I have gone to the wrong party. I'm at the wrong place at the wrong time. I'm dating someone that's not going to work out. You know, each of these things, when we pick up on something inside from the curiosity, when we from within the midst of our misery decide there's something else, and I'll be damned if I'm not going to go get it, regardless of how afraid I am, that's the courage. The courage brings back the distortion that ego has created. It's really that simple.
The courage brings back or removes
it brings it back from the distortion that the ego has created. Thank you. Yeah, it brings back truth. Courage brings back truth because courage allows reality testing. Reality testing is the ability to notice what you're afraid of and have faith in yourself that there's something. And this is when I went to get my hypnosis training, Sandra Grace gave me a cross, and I like to tell you guys, you know, I do religion in a very specific way because I've studied all these religions, and I've had sort of a harsh start with religions because the person teaching me the churches and stuff where my mom had me learning religion, they were a little bit overzealous. So I've come around to it. But one of the phrases is walk by faith, not by sight. And in my hypnosis training, Sandra Grace, who was one of my original hypnosis mentors a few years ago when I got certified, she gave me that as a gift to remind me that when ego is fully active and you are as afraid as you can be, this is when you have to choose to believe in something else. And that something else is something so deep within you that in that moment, everything around you, every circumstance is telling you that this is defeat. That's death. That's the bottom of that pit. You know, they call it the belly of the whale. You know, some people will be like, okay, this is the darkest pit, the darkest hole, the abyss. You know the feeling, that feeling you have when everything that everyone who didn't believe in you said suddenly feels true.
Wow.
Everything that you believed would happen so that you can get that final moment of, look, y'all, this is what I believed in. That satisfaction, that fulfillment, that validation. When all of it seems as far from possible as possible, far from manifestable as possible, that's when you're in the belly of the beast. You have had ego death. You know? Now, they say that some people need to hit rock bottom, and then you'll come back. That's not true. You'll hit rock bottom and you stop lying to yourself and you'll reach for the skills that you may have had that you haven't used.
That happened to me last year.
You reach for the skills?
I met, yes, like I don't know if I mentioned it in another live, but between, was it March? When did the pandemic start?
For real, around March, yeah.
For real, it started in 2019.
Yeah, no, but I mean for real, when those of us over here, I'm saying it was over there.
Yes. So when it came to the forefront.
Yeah.
So in March, I was a nanny for a year. I was in like a corporate space or a nonprofit space, and there was, you know, a situation that caused me to resign from that environment. I'm like, you know what? I don't want to work in a place that's an organization. So I'm just gonna, you know, take care of people's kids and just be a nurturer for a year. Let me take a break from the professional world. So I took this break, fell in love with these kids, and the pandemic happened.
Yeah.
And people started closing their homes because they didn't know who would bring, you know, this disease and stuff like that. So I was unemployed for 4 months, Dr. Manning, 4 months. And in that dark place, in that place of, I was depressed at that time. I was just like, no, this is not life. Like, and I started being curious, and, you know, I had mentors, I had, you know, people who were encouraging me there. Gertrude, you have things that you can offer the world. Like, what you can offer the world, it still exists within you. You just have to remember what it is. So I started helping my dad write his book, his life book. And I started.
My connection's a little laggy. I don't know if you can hear me.
I can hear you, but I can't see you very well. But
did my connection dropping? I'm sorry.
Yes, it was, but I can hear you. Can you hear me? Can you hear me, Dr. Manny? Okay. Can you hear me? I see you. Okay. I guess I'll explain. I think so. Oh, you can you hear me now?
Okay, it was dropping, which I'm glad you were holding it together, because could everyone hear it except me?
No, we just saw you paused.
Okay, yeah. So I could hear you.
Mm-hmm. Okay, but my point that I wanted to raise was that in that place, I just took one step forward and realized, like, wait, I can still be of value to the world, even if it's my immediate circle. So I started, transcribing for my dad's future book.
Yeah.
And, you know, from that place, I'm like, oh, wait, I'm good at this. I'm good at this. I'm good at this. I'm good at this. Yep. And I started, you know, putting myself out there. And my friend who saw, you know, this thing, I'm like, hey, what do you think about this? She saw an ad where someone was like, does anyone know virtual assistants?
Yeah.
Out there.
Yeah.
One doctor knew many doctors.
Yep.
And then the rest is history of, you know, and I got connected to Dr. Manny, which I'm so grateful for.
Thank you.
Great working with you. So yeah, that's my little insight of what you just mentioned, of like in that belly of the beast. Sometimes there's that curiosity of that, like, wait, this is not life.
Yeah.
There's life more than this space of darkness.
Yeah. The ego death. Yeah. And in that space, you realize that all the stories around you don't matter anymore. The only story that matters in a moment is the story you give space. You know, like right now, I can literally, like a lot of times with my clients, when we're doing one-on-one, the first thing we do when we get in the room is we get dead quiet. Okay, here we are for an hour that you paid through the nose for. If you didn't pay it, you wouldn't value it. So, you know, and then here we are sitting. What do you want to talk to me about for an hour? You know, no, what do you really want to talk to me about for an hour? You can complain about work and people pissing you off, but usually most of us, when we get quiet and we let all the other stuff come up, it comes down to an existential earlier pain.
Yes.
There's something from my childhood that I'm still carrying. There's something from last week that hit me so intensely that I'm not able to see my world right. There's something that I experienced that leads me to believe that I'm lesser than. There's something that makes me afraid to try again. There's something that I've seen or heard or remembered differently that has shifted my perspective, for better or for worse. The hero's journey tells us when it's time to shift into a growth mindset instead of a fixed mindset. A fixed mindset, a fixed personality, the belief that we could only do what we can do now and no more. And as such, the world for someone who has skills that we haven't already attained is inaccessible, unavailable, we're not worth it, and we're undeserving. This is a gross miscalculation of our self-concept, our self-image, our self-worth, our self-esteem. That can all be resolved by moving to a position of self-acceptance. This is where I am. This is the hero's journey. This is the journey I'm on. Mine is unique from other people.
Yes.
And the reason it's unique is because this is where you're bringing value. When you are in the belly of the beast, and Gertrude, bring up that picture because I want everyone to get a feel of how bottom this is. When you're at the bottom, and I used to think of it as from Avatar, the place where the eye does not see. Remember when they found out that dude was not really in that body? And this is a particularly powerful metaphor because they realized he was carrying a false body. He had ulterior motives. He was not true to his intention. He was out of integrity. He had violated that tribe. He had caused that place. He didn't believe what he claimed to believe. And the tribe had exiled him. When we have reached the bottom of this self-inflicted exile, this is where the death happens. This is where the suffering can happen. This is where the opportunity for rebirth, because in that moment, we can hear things from within ourselves that we couldn't hear over the noise of other people's ego, other people's opinions. We couldn't process through our value-based system because we were activated into someone else's values, the values we were taught. We couldn't understand it because we were too busy being afraid of what others people would think. Up until then, we were afraid of being kicked out of the tribe. We are out of the tribe now. We are as far away from the tribe as possible. And ego death, the story disappears, the judgment, the injunctions, the rules that they told you once no longer apply in this world. The values that they told you, the things that were valuable. Think about what values are. Values are what is meaningful to you based on the environment in which you find yourself. So it's at some point, you need to let your core values, the values that are inside, come out and notice, and this is sublimation, notice how they apply to the achievement of your goals. So that's the revelation. The revelation is this inner voice that you have inside of you that when you quiet everything else, when you stop worrying about what will people say, what will people think, there's this beautiful inner voice that comes out. And I always tell my clients, go where you feel beautiful. As you gain this clarity in voice, you will find that a lot of the self-flagellation that you do, a lot of the beating up of yourself, a lot of the self-criticism, a lot of the self-loathing, a lot of the isolating and suppressing prior memories that you see as your demons. And I call it turning your demons into your muses. This is the point at which you look at your ego, look at the stories you were told in the past, the scarcity you were told to believe, the fear, the low worth, the shortcomings, the intergenerational curses, the things that you were told that you don't belong in these places because of the place that you kind of were born into, if you believe randomly or if you believe by some deeper choice of your spiritual energy.
I have a question on the flip side. What if you came from a good childhood in the sense of, elements of your upbringing that you would like to repeat? But then not, like sometimes when people break up with somebody, they forget all the actual bad things that were taking place at that same time.
Yeah, don't throw the baby with the bathwater. So
exactly. So in this crossing of the threshold, is there a way that you don't completely throw everything out, but it's like, okay, there are elements that I do value that I would like to come over? How does that work?
Okay, this is where we're going to pull up the Eckhart Tolle. Eckhart Tolle, and I think in New Earth. New Earth deals more with ego states and managing ego than the power of now. The power of now kind of deals with it if you're in pain, help you out of a depression, help you sit and soothe. But New Earth deals with the real work. And what he says is, in one of those two, is that ego without can only exist without awareness. Awareness is what exists when you, instead of choosing fear, you can choose awareness. And when you're looking at the thing and your whole body, your amygdala is firing, you can look at the truth of the event, or you can look at your perception of the truth, and then you do reality testing, hypothesis testing. Is this situation that's so scared that I need to get away from everything? Even as you're running away from this saber-toothed tiger, you can realize there are things that I need to take from here, and those are the lessons.
Yes.
Damage. Often what needs to happen, again, don't throw out the baby with the bathwater. What needs to happen in that space is for you to take a look at these habits that you have. These habits are a product of carrot and stick, incentives and punishments.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
So what you want to do is you want to look at those old habits, look at the carrots, look at the sticks that existed in the old world. You're in the unknown world now. Look at the habits that you have and decide which habits serve you. Now, even further, you don't want to be rigid with the old habits. You want to look at each habit and say, now that I'm more mature, even if it's just a little bit, now that I'm in a new situation, because I've wandered off the Ponderosa, which means, a lot of times when they say someone goes crazy, you've wandered off the Ponderosa.
Well,
which means you wandered off the ranch. You have wandered off the Ponderosa, but guess what? When you come back to the Ponderosa after this death, you better have a good ass story to tell. And it better be a story that lets them know you still speak the language of the people. And the revelation, the thing that you've seen, has finally changed you to the point where you can see the beauty in the village. You're no longer frustrated in the village. They say you're the master of both domains. That means you know the language of the village, but pardon my French, you've seen some shit. So you know a couple of SAT words that you can bring back to the village, not in judgment, but in realizing your place in the bigger picture, noticing that there is life outside the village, noticing that all the times before that you were curious about something beyond, that your village, for lack of a better word, was shitting on you, shutting you down, was trying to teach you like you were crazy, trying to tell you were stupid, reckless for going on this adventure. Ultimately, this is when the village realizes, after you've made the atonement and you no longer have this guilt within yourself. Slide the image down just a little bit.
Okay.
Up, sorry. That's when you get the gift. On the way back into the village, you come to realize that you're the master of both lands. The gift is an inner gift. The gift that you got crossing the threshold on the way in, that was the seed of the gift. If you held on to the seed of the gift, whatever symbol, whether it was an amulet, a wand, a hat, a special saying, a chant, a song, a hug in your memory, whatever it was that you took with you through the whole trip, those aspects are going to be the refined version of the thoughts. This will be what is the truth of your village from this new perspective, that the courage that you had allowed, the courage that you had to be open-minded. And Barbara Fredrickson calls it broaden and build in positive psychology. The fact that you were able to leave your emotions open so that everything you saw during the journey, you didn't criticize. You didn't only see from the lens of your village. Look at these savages. Look at these animals with different practices. Look at all these different things they're doing. They suck. Look at the betrayals. Look at how even my friends were dancing in the Elysian fields with me. We're all going to hell, or whatever story. The ability to come back home and tell the village, I get it better now that I've been gone. And, I've been gone. And you know how Dorothy, when she comes back from Oz, everyone actually looks like the same people that she ran into in Oz, but now she sees them with different lenses because she's seen them through those colored lenses. And even if in the physical reality, they still limit themselves to signaling in black and white, she can still see their aura. She can still see their color with the gift. The gift is insight. The gift is the ability to see in yourself, which ultimately leads to your ability to have compassion for others, because you have a clear understanding of who you are, your story, what you've been through, your boundaries, what you value, and your ultimate dream, your vision. and you're clear as to how to get to the vision, and you're going to go back, but you're also willing, and you're also willing to show others with a certain amount of patience how to get there, because you're no longer afraid. You know that beyond this village, beyond these constraints, you're able to return changed, and you can rest in the village. And as a hero, you're going to want to leave again. There will be a sequel. You're a hero. You go on trips. That's what you do. Odysseus goes on Odysseys. Ulysses goes on Ulysses. Wait, that doesn't work. When you cross from Greek to Roman, that was an inside joke for you sapiosexy in there. For the geeks, just so you guys know that I'm still here. You return changed. You return speaking a different language. You return with the introspection, with the lessons. You return with the ability to see your old tribe through the eyes of someone who has been through these things, has grown, yet still values them deeply, even as you see the limits that they have without judgment. You are the master of both worlds. You speak both languages. That's the hero's journey. That's how you heal, through insight instead of through pain and suffering. How was that, Gertrude?
Yeah.
All right. So first of all, I need y'all over at Get Committed, because we're doing the deeper work over there, step by step. Whereas over here, we're talking surface stories. Get over to Get Committed. Go ahead and give us your email. Once the machine has your email, the automation will send you the PDF with the deeper version of the drama triangle. In order to know when you're in the drama triangle, so you could pop up out of there, you got to read these shadows. It's called shadow work. You got to notice the stuff that you do that society claims is unacceptable, impolite, subversive, rude, amoral, immoral, whatever label they want to put. Hold on, someone's ringing me. Okay, that's someone for a Monday visit, so don't worry about it. I just like to make sure, because as you guys know, once you guys are in Get Committed, and when you're beyond that, when you're in the asylum process, when you're in my journey, part of what you get is crisis calls. You get direct access to my bat line, and I unless I'm tweaked beyond recognition or on a retreat with the team, trying something that doesn't allow me to speak English, I answer my phone. So part of working with me is not only am I teaching you the tools, the mindset, the skill set, the tool set. Also, when you call, I answer my damn phone. That's what you get when you pay for investing yourself through paying for me. Okay. So the first part, the Get Committed, that costs nothing. This is a gift. Okay. Hop over there. You don't have to give your email. You don't give your email, you don't get the gift. Okay. So if you're really committed, get a damn email so we can send you the email series so that we can walk you through your bullshit. Honestly. All right. When it's time to stop juggling nuts, it's stop the juggling nuts. And if you're a lady, you can replace nuts with anything else that is juggleable. Welcome to Asylum, mayhem to ensue. Get over there, give me your email, and everyone will be happy. All right. You'll get a set of emails from the team. Within the emails, we'll talk about how you can work further with me, deeper with me. One of the things that I do for my conscience is I come through and I do stuff like this, where literally the same stuff that I'm charging people $1,000 a pop for an hour, I'm literally walking you through the framework right now for no cost. What I'm asking you for is not your email as, oh, I'm going to get this, do my email, then I'm going to ignore the emails. I'm asking for the email as a symbol of commitment. Mm-hmm. I'm asking you to join Get Committed as a sign that you're committed. If you're not committed, it's perfectly fine to stay here in Mayhem and enjoy the memes and chill with us. Get Committed is a different group. For point of clarity, Asylum Mayhem 2 is a more advanced group than 1. Okay. Strategically, the plan was always and is always and will always be that if a version of us gets shut down, we don't know if it was a leak. We don't know if it was a betrayer, a disloyal, or some normals that have infiltrated us. When we move to the next place, the only people that are going to be in the next place are the people who the tribe along the way has trusted to continue to invite to this next iteration. We move fast. We move light. We love each other. We've been tight for decades. Some of y'all have known since I was 10. So y'all know I shoot from the hip, no bullshit, all bull. Steak. What did I leave out, Gertrude?
Everything was, hero, victim, go or stay, but it's okay.
Okay, hero, victim, go or stay. Look, you could stay here And by here, I don't mean in Asylum Mayhem. I mean, you could stay here in your head. I've literally given you both frameworks.
Mm-hmm.
Hero or victim. You can go on this journey. When the student is ready, the teacher appears. When the student is truly ready, the teacher disappears. And I already done told you, I disappeared to islands. I disappeared to events. I disappeared to this house. I disappeared to Facebook jail. I disappeared to my garage where I have stuff that I can't talk about in places where it's recorded. I mean, all that.
I cannot.
So I think
you are so secure in your purpose in life that you don't feel like you have to be in someone's life longer than you need to, basically.
Hashtag asylum awaits. I'm awaiting, but I'm not waiting here. I'm waiting where it's fun. I got like an endless supply of gummies.
Oh, gosh.
You catch me this afternoon, I'm speaking in smaller, more enlightened sentences. But I'm, hero victim. You can live a life of quiet desperation. Those who don't go on the journey, they burn out. They stay in the old village. They have these ideas all the time of how they could be special, how they could be magical, how they have a story to tell, but no one wants to hear your damn story if you ain't left the village. You're going to be a victim. You're going to tell people how you're misunderstood. You have all these things that one day you're going to do. I can't see one day or someday on my calendar. I will check now. Nope. It's not on it. I can check my phone calendar. I got my kids' little up in the room calendar that I check in the morning to make sure they done their crap. It's not on there. I'm pretty sure it's not on my fancy iPhone calendar either. There ain't no someday.
So getting past the threshold starts with a mentor.
Yes, because you stay or go. I'm not saying I'm your mentor, but I'm saying you need to stop living in the drama triangle and looking for mentors who give you compliments and yes men who let you sit and get credit. And I'm telling you, stop choosing mentors who are like, poor baby, here's another fish, here's another fish. I'm always down to give out fish. I just don't be around like that. My attention span, I'm a hero. I'll be on journeys. When I come back, I'll tell you a story. But when I'm gone, don't bother me.
Sounds healthy.
Hey, I mean, these are boundaries.
It's good.
These are boundaries. If you can't go somewhere and be left alone with the confidence that in that time alone, your truth will emerge, then someone somewhere has convinced you that you're not worthy of that alone, self-nurturing time, that self-love, And this is not, if you're self-aware and you're self-accepting, then you don't need to lean on self-esteem, external validation, achievements. There are 3 levels of consciousness: having, people who like to accumulate shit; doing, people who like to signal all the time like they're doing some shit; and being. I mean, you are who you are. Be authentic and let the rest fall in place. It takes a choice, though. You can stay or you can go on this adventure. How about now, Gertrude? Did I cover all of it?
Yes, you did.
Yeah, man. Let's get it.
This has been great. I'm like chewing. I'm like trying to do the show, but then all right.
On the bright side, though, Gertrude comes back and gets snippets. And also, I want to remind you guys that we're on a sort of stagnated path because I want to make sure the team is keeping up with where we are in the collective narrative. But ultimately, all these videos at some point will be transcribed and available in these different PDFs. There will be highlight reels of the most important parts floating through the internet through the marketing team. And the deeper, more important ideas are being combined into these books. The first book to expect from us is going to be Discipline in the Dark, which is a book I wrote during my depression 6 years ago, that I'm coming through the courage of reading my own work without allowing my inner critic to come up too much, so that I can uphold the promise I made to myself to bring these words, these ideas to you guys, yet at the same time to have my wiser, more present mind go back and make it so that it's not excruciating to read The Diary of a Madman. Hero or victim, stay or go or stay. I'm out. I'm gonna go party.